Go live. Yeah.
Woo!
Doing it. Hello, everybody. This is
Oh,
the
internet.
yes, the internet peoples. We are doing our episode 6 of our staff picks. Yahoo! Season 2, yeah. And this one is a special one because we're celebrating 50 years of the ABC, the American Book Centre. Ooh la la. We started in 1972. Lynn is the owner and happens to be here as well. What was the actual month that we started?
We actually started, the shop started the week before Easter in April 1972.
Live, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, just checking it. Yes, we're on. So just before Easter. So it is about, because we're going to be on the 50th, Saturday the 15th.
16th.
The 16th it was.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's Saturday the 15th of April this year, we're going to be having our birthday party in all the shops.
So, on the 16th, Saturday the 16th, yeah.
Was it Saturday the 16th?
Yes.
Okay, got it wrong.
Yeah.
16th. There you
And
go.
keep in mind, if any of our old staff are watching, please come. There's going to be some kind of special thing in all the stores at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe a book lovers flash mob or something just fun and
Okay.
delightful, whatever.
Will that be happening at
Don't know. You just have to be there.
You just have to be there. You just have to stop in.
Exactly. Yeah. Would that be specifically at the Amsterdam shop or?
Hopefully all three.
All three. There's going to be something, maybe something special happening. Ooh la la.
I say simultaneous party poppers.
Like that.
Synchronized.
Oh, maybe we should do a stream actually, and we could do a YouTube stream and then show everyone around the world. That would be kind of funky.
I've never actually popped a party popper. I've always sort of wanted to.
Now
Maybe this is my
It's your
chance.
chance. It's your chance. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know where to buy a party popper, but I'll get one.
Do it. You got
It's
to
the 3 party popper pins now.
You can get them everywhere.
Okay, so we're here. This is normally to do with the ABC staff picks, and we thought we'd go for the best your best ABC staff pick of all time. So, who should we start with? I think Sophie, because I know that Sophie Steekum has a few up her sleeve there. So, Sophie,
several, yes. I don't even know where to start with this one because it's very rude to ask a bookseller to just pick one book of all time. Iris.
That's not.
Yes,
I did not.
It was you. So anyway, eventually at some stage, these are the ones there we go. And
this is the first. I must say, this is the first sign of a bookseller or any book reader is actually you ask them to pick one and then they show you 3.
Well,
You can't.
I know. That's just
it's great. You know? It's the heart of a book fair.
The law of the universe.
I love them. I love them all. So but this is definitely one of my favorites. Ancillary Justice, Anne Leckie, and I came to sci-fi late-ish, as I think most people do. You start with all kinds of stuff, and then I hear more people that discover sci-fi as they kind of age. As you can see, my gray hairs. And
okay.
And this one just captured me because it's just all kinds of, there's so much happening, but it's all between the lines. I love books that do that. And Breck is one of the more interesting characters that I know. I don't want to give too much away actually, because there's this huge reveal, and it's all about what is artificial intelligence and oh lordy,
it's very much like what makes a person.
Yes, yeah, and when are
in multiple ways.
Yeah, when are you important? To whom? So it's it's one of those things, and it's also a tale of revenge, and it spans millennia. And it's multiple viewpoints all at once. So it's so well done. It's one of those books that you want to reread because you finish it and you're like, okay, what just happened? And you start it again, and then you realize you already know the basic outline, and you can pick up on all the small things. So
can you hold it still for a minute so I can write it down?
Sorry.
Ancillary Justice. Okay.
Anne Leckie, and I've read everything by Anne Leckie that is in print, and all of it has been good. And she's also really interesting with language and the importance of language and how things get lost in translation between languages and cultures. And a great thing that I love about this book also is that everybody is she. Doesn't matter what gender they are she. They're referred to as she. So I love that, because my whole life I've read it the other way around. It's always been he and sir when you're not sure, you know.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's always she. So that's.
And it's a quite recent book in terms of actually book writing. It came out in, like, I don't know, 2018 or something like that, maybe.
No, a little older than that. 2013.
13.
And it won the big 3 sci-fi
Hugo.
prizes. Yeah, Hugo, Nebula, and the other one. Arthur C. Clarke, probably.
Something like that.
But all the big ones. So and deservedly so. So I am very patiently. This
yeah, you made Lynn want to read it, and you made me want to. I've sold the book for ages, and now
look at you hand selling.
Yeah, there you go. But it's also one of Timon's favorites. So we overlap as far as sci-fi goes. So
okay.
Yeah, I often find that when there's a book that is a staff choice of both you and Timon, I know that I'll like it, which is great.
And it's part of a trilogy, isn't it?
Yes, this is part 1. And then she's written another book in the same multiverse that is apart from it. I just reread that. That was also a lot of fun. And she also wrote The Raven Tower, which is a fantasy, but not your average fantasy. That's also worth, everything she writes is just worth reading. She really makes you think. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was one.
What you think? Yeah.
And later on, I'll talk about the other 2.
So
all the time. So
we'll move on then. I'm thinking Anno. Actually, you're the newest member of the ABC. How long have you been working actually here, Anno?
Not even a year. I am a child. I started in the beginning of June. And it was all because during not the first lockdown, but during one of the many lockdowns, I was basically looking for a job position that, I don't know, kind of let me grow a little bit and also let me follow some of my passions and everything. And I was just like, well, I'll just try and work at a bookstore. So I sent out basically like this open solicitation to ABC, and then it was like put on hold because of the lockdown. And then I never thought I would get a response, because normally you don't. Normally they go like, oh yeah, we'll keep your file somewhere, and then you never hear from them again. And then actually a couple of weeks later, I did hear that they actually were looking for someone now. And then I was just like, yes, I am so very motivated.
So
here you are.
Yay!
But it's true, actually. People think, oh, they file it under B for bin or something like that. But we actually do have a file which has, people. When we need to find someone new, we do use it. And you're the proof. So there you go.
And so am I. How I walked in here, I loved Amsterdam, and my friend at the time wanted to stay also, and so I thought, I read all my books. I thought, if I can find a job in a bookstore, then I can read for free. And anyway, because books are really expensive, and so nobody wanted me, of course, in the Dutch bookstores. And then he came home on Saturday morning with a little matchbook. It said American Discount Book Center, and I thought, So walked over there and basically stood my ground until they hired me to look for thieves. And I remember getting dressed that weekend and thinking, oh, well, this will be a short gig.
Here we are.
Nearly 50 years later. So
wow. Yeah. But did you actually?
How wrong I can be.
Did you actually catch any thieves?
I don't know. I don't think I ever did. No.
Okay, great.
But I only had to do that for like a day and a half, because Mitch said, you're standing around. I said, yeah. You got to move around. And then he said on Sunday night, he said, okay, you know how to work a cash register? And I said, no. He said, well, it's really easy. It goes like this. And he said, I'll be back to close you up at 11 o'clock at night. We were open from 9 in the morning to 11 at night.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, who else is here? He said, you're it. This was day 3. And so I said, "You gonna leave me alone?" He said, "Yeah, you'll be fine." I said, "Well, what if somebody robs me? What if they want the money?" He said, "So you give them the money." So I said, "Well, how do you know I won't take the money?" He said, "You're not going to take the money." I said, "You're right, I'm not. But I'm only going to do this if you give me your phone number in case of emergency." So he gives me his phone number. I said, "Okay, now where is the telephone? I haven't seen it yet." He said, "No, it hasn't been hooked up yet. There's a phone cell on the corner if you need me."
Wow.
And that's when I realized that, hey, there's a vacuum here.
Yes.
There's space.
Wow. The Wild West days of bookselling.
Yeah. What year was that actually, Lynn? If I can,
72.
72. Oh, so you really came in a couple of months after it started.
Oh, a couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I came in the week. I think it would have been open 2 weeks when I came in.
Oh, so it's super new. Okay. I knew that you started afterwards. I didn't realize it was exactly, yeah.
Yeah, like 2 weeks, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And in those days, of course, no one had mobile phones. It was all going down to the corner and finding the nearest payphone. Oh, that's bizarre.
So not to steal your thunder, Anno, but I just had to add that little anecdote.
No, of course.
They're also
great story.
Booksellers and looking for book lovers, looking for a way to make it our passion.
I mean, in a way, I kind of did the same because I did a 3-month internship and I just never left.
Yeah.
There you go.
That happens.
Yeah, and now we're 6 years down the road or whatever, 7, 6.
So you walked in with your little Red Riding Hood cape.
Yes.
You never wear that anymore. What is this?
You've grown up.
I got fatter, Sophie.
Me too.
Actually, I mean, my story is not too different either because I came in, I was asked to come and help unpack the books when the ABC was on the Kalverstraat on 185. And it was like the whole room. And then we'd have lunch and you'd have all the packed lunch and stuff like that. And I never left. It was like, oh, we need someone on the first floor. It was kind of like what you said, Lynn. It was like, oh, there's a hole. We need someone on the first floor. Luke, could you do that? Yeah, whatever. Cash register. I'd never done a cash register before in my life. Whatever.
It ain't rocket science.
Yeah. Well,
do we have anyone who's just like properly applied for a job, or did we all just sort of like got dragged in?
No, my mom pushed me because I was a teacher and then I stopped because I didn't want to be in school anymore. And the plan was, let's just relax and not do anything for a while and just kind of see what I might want to do. And that lasted for all of 1 month rather than, half a year or so. Because my mom said, the ABC's hiring. Don't you want, it's books. And we always like everybody else, we were customers first. I think that's fair for all ABC staff. And so then I applied. I went to an interview and everything like that. And then I will never forget the phone call from there was
Martijn.
Yes, infamous phone call. He called me and he said, well, yeah, you're it.
He's the worst person to do this.
I was like, well, I don't know if I should be happy or if I should pay very fast now. And then I thought, well, it's 1 month, trial. It's also a trial for the store if I like the store. So yeah, and then 20 years later, I'm still here. So.
I had the same Martijn phone call after my internship. Like, oh, we're offering you a job, and it was the most depressing phone call I've ever had. He's the worst person to do that.
Yeah.
We should have a word with him.
Mona was like, oh, I want to be in the room when this happens, because she was expecting like fireworks, and it was all just like, okay.
Yeah. Oh dear, crazy guy. So anyway, Anno, you had a book.
Yeah, right.
I did have a book.
You have a book.
What book? I came prepared with one book. Then everyone went like, look at all the books I brought. So then I took more books off my bookshelf. So I now have one that I basically connect the most with my time at ABC, which I actually didn't read during my time at the ABC, which is quite interesting. And the other one is currently one of the more recent reads I had, but also more recent books where I actually felt like the magic of like, oh yes, this book is absolutely for me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about the ABC one, which is
Ah, yes.
Carry on.
Bisexual.
Yes, it is absolutely fantastic. It pulled me out of a reading slump. I think during the beginning of the pandemic, because I did a lot of studying, and so you kind of don't really read for your own pleasure anymore. So I then started getting like buying some more books here and there and just trying my best. And it basically, yeah, it really followed me to the ABC in a sense that it is one of the books that I recommend the most, especially when people say like, oh, I don't want to start, like I want to read something YA that's really good and also like a little bit fantastical, but maybe set like more in the real world and doesn't have like 10 books in the series. Then I always recommend this one, especially because this is such an easy book to love, because it is written sometimes in a more atypical way. For instance, the way that magic works in that universe, because it is about a school of magic and a group of 3 people that go there. And the way that magic works is by using common phrases, for instance. So if you use like a common phrase, I can't think of one right now.
Of course not.
No, spit spot. If you use spit spot or something that you really connect to a type of thing, then for instance, like the room will be clean, or the thing that you point your wand at will be clean. So that's kind of how it works. And yeah, so the whole premise is that there's like this one chosen one, but he's also terrible at being the chosen one because he actually like blows up a lot of stuff. And then you have like he has basically this one arch nemesis who might or may not be a vampire. It's all a bit very fun and it's sometimes exaggerated and a lot of running around. And the way it ends is a little unexpected. Which makes you sometimes go like, okay, but also really excited to be like more of a part of this world, which is great because there are 2 more books. The second one is a bit but it'll bridge the road for pave the way for the third one, which is actually great again. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
so is it a trilogy that they, as in like trilogy, you have to read all 3, or are they set in the same world so you could go on?
So they are for the same characters and so on, the same kind of storyline and so on. But if you want, you can definitely just read the first one. The second one is more of a like what happens after the hero's quest. A lot of times, so it's not like the big finale actually comes at the end. I think that's also why the second book is a bit slower. It's just because you kind of pick up after everything happened, so everything goes a bit haywire and you're waiting for things to develop, but it doesn't really always work out in that way.
Yeah, it sounds like she kind of wrote the first one and then they said, you've got to write a second one. It was like, oh, I do. And then
I do like that idea though, of like you've had the big climactic confrontation or whatever, and then what happens?
Yeah. And especially like there's a lot of like, so of course there's like a love story and all those type of things. So you want to see how that now develops after the hero's quest is done. And so the second book, the only thing I found a bit disappointing, there wasn't a lot of, I thought, character development and not a lot of development in general. You felt like you were at the same place that you started out in. But I think that was also a little bit the point. And then the third book actually has finally all these developments that you have been waiting for during the second book. Oh, thank God. And also some great twists where you go like, wait, is this thing that I want to happen actually happening? And then it does happen, and that's great. It makes you feel fantastic.
All right.
I also have to say that number 1 is a very popular blind book date as well, at least in LEIDSCHENDAM. So
Nice.
It's not going to tell you the clues though.
No, exactly.
You have to tell people what blind book dates are, because not everybody knows what that is. Sophie, do you want to tell us what it is?
Well, Iris is more the maker.
Iris, do you want to tell us what it is?
Well, it's basically just a book that is wrapped up so you can't see which book it is. And it has a few hints as to the contents or the story written on there. At least I think in Amsterdam, they're like printed, but we write them by hand.
Oh, right.
It's written.
Yeah. And so the idea, I always try to make it so that if you've read the book, you'll recognize it from the clues. But if not, if you haven't read it, it'll give you enough to sort of judge if you want to purchase it or not.
Yeah.
And then I know some people like unwrap them immediately as soon as they buy them. And some people wait until they're like, I want to read this now. Let's see what it is, which I think is pretty wild. I could never do that. But I love that there's so many different approaches.
I know what you're like on Christmas morning then.
Yes. Yeah. I have no patience and all the curiosity. So
right.
Yeah,
cool.
They're mad popular. In The Hague and in LEIDSCHENDAM.
Amsterdam too. Yeah.
We sold. I think in LEIDSCHENDAM we sold more than 60. The last couple weeks ago we have school holidays.
Yeah.
We sold over 60 in 1 week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Renata,
which is pretty wild for like if you don't know what you're buying.
She makes a lot of them. So.
It's all the wrapping it up, though. I know in Amsterdam, there's continually colleagues are trying to wrap it up as fast as they
it's
can
a little bit slow, it's wrapping. So right.
Yeah.
Lots of Sharpies.
For people, because you said that pretty quickly. This is called the blind date with a book.
Yeah, right? we call them blind book dates because it's a little quicker to say.
Blind book date. Okay.
Yeah, but blind date with a book is a better.
Yeah, that's sort of the term that you'll see.
Yeah, but we call the BBDs, blind book dates. So.
Yeah, good fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Lynn, you must have one or two books that you
I do have.
You've read on your way. But
I'm going to give you a short one on this one because it's the more literary one. It's called God's Grace by Bernard Malamud. And that's a classic one. It's dystopic. It's there's one survivor on Earth after nuclear war, and he survives because he was on a boat and he lands on an island, and he's a scientist, and the only other person he can talk to is a chimpanzee who was on the boat, was being taught language by having his tongue was split or something so that he could make sounds. Anyway, it's one of those books that has just continually stuck with me. So you can only get it secondhand, but there you are. God's Grace, Malamud. And then the second one, which I picked for today, is In the City of Bikes.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
This one is written by Pete Jordan. Pete Jordan's first book was called Dishwasher because he set out to be a dishwasher in all 50 states of the United States.
Wow.
And then he moved to Amsterdam and realized that nobody had really written a history of bikes in Amsterdam. Well, it's a very interesting part of the city's history, especially what happened during the Second World War when the bikes were taken over, registered, taken over by the occupiers, and for decades afterwards, the theme was give me my bike back. My grandfather wants his bike back. So that was at the crowning or the wedding, I think, of later Queen Beatrix and Prince Claus. There were just masses of people outside yelling, "Give me my bike back!" because and many Germans did try later to give the bikes back. Didn't work out too well, but it's a fascinating book, and it's one that I always give to people as a gift. And the interesting personal note on it was that we actually did his book launch for this. We hosted it in Amsterdam, and Rick is no longer with us, unfortunately, but he said, Pete Jordan, the guy, he was a carpenter. He helped build the Bali on the second floor. I said, what? There was, we we had this carpenter who was a different name. He came in, but he had an assistant who said nothing. I mean, he said he worked there for 2 weeks. He said nothing. So I didn't remember him at all. Made zero impression. It was his intention, because from his first book, Dishwasher, it became so popular actually that they asked him to be on one of the David Letterman or something, one of the American talk shows at night, and he didn't want to go. And his roommate said, "What are you, nuts? Why would you turn this down? I'll go." So he said, "Okay, you go." So he went, impersonated his roommate, and it was a stitch. I mean, this.
Oh my God.
Anyway, I think he still lives in Amsterdam. Pete, if you're watching, kudos. Anyway.
Westfield, what?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So
Probably
there you
on
go.
YouTube somewhere as well.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wow, this is one of those stories that just keeps getting better.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Indeed, all this world of people wanting to be famous as somebody who just doesn't want. That's what I like about authors, about books. Actually, me, I'm more into music, and with music, being the artist, you're supposed to be the person out there showing it as well most of the time. And there are a few artists who don't want to be seen, like Daft Punk or something like that. But with authors, with writing books, you actually aren't seen. Your book is seen. All of the authors we don't know really what most of them look like. Even they're sitting there like us, but because they're bookworms, like the readers that read them.
Yeah, they're introverts.
Yeah.
And that's actually really tricky, because when you invite a famous author to come do a speech or a performance, I mean, a lot of them really don't speak very well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Think about it. No.
Oh no.
So
Have a discussion with them.
It's true.
Yeah. It's bizarre, isn't it? It's the whole world. I love that idea also of the fact that you've spoken, but you haven't said a word. You haven't spoken a word. It's like from their brain to your brain almost directly, and that's it's great. I love that. I love that whole idea, that whole connection. Sets us all off. Who's next? Actually, Iris, you haven't been.
I haven't been. I have a book that I want to talk about. It's The Sleeper and the Spindle by Neil Gaiman. And the reason I want to talk about this book in connection to this anniversary stream is not necessarily because it's like the best book I've ever read, though it's a great book. But it's the first book that I bought at ABC. And because I wanted it, and I knew that it was coming out, and I was like, where can I buy this book in English as soon as it comes out? I know, I'll go to ABC, because I think I hadn't been living in Leiden for very long. So I wasn't really aware of ABC, because it wasn't really sort of in my circle. And then when I was in Leiden studying English in university, all these people were like, oh, you got to go to ABC because it's really close by and they have English books. Yes. And so I went with my sister and I bought this book, and I wanted it real bad because it looked so pretty, because it was the first time it has this dust jacket that is sort of see-through, so you can you can see the illustration through it. I don't know if it really shows very well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Anyway, if you know the book, you'll know.
On a sort of rice paper or something like that, I suppose.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
And then so I went to the store with my sister and I gathered tons of books, but I couldn't find this one. And then I was about to head out. I think maybe I'd already paid with Barry, who obviously I didn't know at the time, but in retrospect, I was like, wow, that was a hilarious encounter. Anyway, and then I saw it in a little display next to the window. So then I had to go back and buy the book that I came there for. And I still love it, but I mostly love the story. Yeah. And I think I like tweeted about it or something, because I used to have a YouTube booktube channel. And I definitely put it on some social media, and I got a reply from the ABC. And I now know that was Sophie, because of like the tone of the message, but obviously I didn't know Sophie at the time, but like in retrospect, I can just sort of decipher, everybody's personal style. Yeah. So that was my first introduction to ABC.
Oh,
yeah.
That's nice.
You guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Now I'm here
Yeah.
on the internet.
And you still like those nice covers, because I know every time we talk about the new books, you go, and this one's a nice cover with a nice cover.
I'm a sucker for a good cover, Luke. That's just.
It's got to.
But also, like, there's so many. Whenever there's people like, "Oh, don't judge a book by its cover," that's one of the things that really grinds my gears, because like there's so many people putting in so much work to make beautiful covers.
Yeah.
Give them some credit.
Yeah. So I'm a total cover junkie. I mean, I am weak for a good cover. Oh my God.
I love having good books, but I also love having beautiful objects. So it's a win-win.
It's true. It's why they keep.
Also why I do the book clubs. Book clubs are important, because then I must read books that I would never pick because they're ugly. But they're so good, yeah. So that's how I kind of keep my book cover love balanced with good books without good covers. So.
There you go, because otherwise you miss out a whole lot. But Sophie, you go to the book you go to the book chats.
No, I don't. I hosted the feminist book club though for a long time.
Oh yeah.
The Hague.
Yeah.
Which is that one, but later.
Beautiful segue.
I don't know, Luke, you haven't said anything yet, so I want.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Well, because I was going to mention that, but actually, I'll mention
round 2. So.
We had a feminist book club. There's always a possibility of doing it again. If people are interested, they can just contact us, because we're always looking for somebody. Because we have the book chats, and that's done by who's the lady who's doing it at the moment? Who's anyone?
I don't know her name.
Miriam, and she's looking after it now. So we just need one person to host it, and the book chats are usually at the end of the month, like they were just before our streaming today. And if I look online, we had the next one is going to be on April the 22nd.
Well, there you go.
O'clock. And you'll find that. Let me just share the screen actually, because then I can show the good people at home. Let's see, that one. Yeah. And we can show. So this is our events at ABC. Good look. Look at that. Look at that.
Matrix is a really good book too. The one that they're doing.
Hey, it's a good book.
Choice
of mine. People want to join, actually, so they need to get the book, and then they can come and join. We're doing it virtually still because of Corona and blah blah blah. It will come around to be doing it in the shop eventually, later on this year probably. But as of now, it's going to be April 22nd at 6 o'clock. And if you click through here, then you'll get the Zoom link that you can meet up there. And if you want to, you can actually sign up from before on the meetup.com. So just let people know you're coming if you want to do that. So that is that. Wait, how do I get out of this? Oh yeah, stop share. There you go. Right. So that's it for that. And onto what I would choose is my favorite book, which I couldn't find because I think I lent it to somebody, as you do when you go, this is an amazing book. Oh,
you have to read it. There you go.
To read it, yeah. So I have the other one from him, and that's Robert M. Persick. So you know, yeah.
One of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
ABC's favorites.
It's actually Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Lilia is the second one after it, which I spoke with you one time, Lynn. You actually read Lilia as well, didn't you?
It's one of my all-time favorites as well, yeah.
Oh, Lilia?
This one, or?
Okay. Yeah. You can see I got like a third of the way through with this one, but I still have to try it again. But the Zen, it just spoke to me. It was complete. It was just like, yes, you know, and I think I read it when I was 18 or something like that. And it stuck with me every time. And of course, when people come, you know what it's like actually, when people come and ask you, is this a good book? Or what do you recommend? It's like, that one, you know. Yeah. And I still have the pleasure and the fun of when you have somebody who's new or young and then they come in and they haven't read it yet and they're looking for something, and to say to them, you might try, you know, they tell you kind of what they're into, and the wheels are spinning around and you're kind of like, what would they like? And it's like, I think that one. And you know, you get them hooked. You can see that they're hooked because you tell them how it is.
What is it about though? Because I've never read it, Luke.
Oh,
I know.
Let's see if I can, sell it to you.
I've never read it. So, but I've never really looked up at the back either what it's all about. So, because people grab it from the stack. So I never need to hand sell it, you know?
It's ostensibly it's about a man taking his son across America on a motorbike trip with a friend. But the underlying, like you were talking about the other book that you read, the underlying story is his distance from, I'd say his distancing of life. It's much more psychological underneath, and the storyline that you find out histories of stuff of it, and his breakdown as well that he has gone through, and it's sounds simple, but it's just the way he weaves it in there. I just loved it. Lynn, you want to fill in something like that, don't you? Is that a good experience?
Yeah, I like that one as well. I mean, for those of you who know my daughter, I read it on the train to Berlin when I was pregnant with Nadine. It was a 13-hour train ride, and that was that book.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did it in 13 hours.
But I want to. This is a recent read, which I want to share with you.
Oh, Finding the Mother Tree.
Finding the Mother Tree.
Last year, I think, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, 2018, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I just heard about it. No, 21. It is 21.
Oh,
wow. We've heard about the Wood Wide Web, which is the underground web of tree roots and all kinds of plants which communicate with each other through mushrooms, through fungi, and so on. And it was really amazing to read, The Secret Life of Trees, and a couple of the other ones. But this one is written by the botanist who actually did the scientific work that later became upon which all those other books are based. Oh, cool. And it's also quite a bit biographical, and a bit of science, and a lot of nice pictures. Pancake mushrooms meeting each other in the woods. It's really very nice, and it brought me to a revelation. This brings us back to ABC. We've been using trees a lot, always in our logos, and in the shops, and we had the tree house, and we had the tree hut, and all that kind of thing. But until I realized that most of the tree is underground, and that's what we actually are as booksellers. We're the underground root system that keeps translating, keeps doing trades for sugars, for magnesium, or whatever. We're trading ideas from people into book orders, into money, so that we can make more book choices and whatever, and then we send it up the tree, and it all happens up there. But so it was really a very nice book to have read this past month, and that's what I'll keep. Yeah,
that's really cool, especially considering books are basically slices of trees.
That's right.
Yeah.
We do. We feed all the people who go and do their things. Yeah.
I like it. I'm going to remember that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing I like about it is, we talk about paper books. I realized one time that, when we read a book, it excites us, hopefully in some way. We actually give off pheromones. We don't smell them, but we give off stuff. And that actually, because it's absorbent, it goes into the paper. So when you actually pick up a book that has been read by someone else or signed by the author, when you sign by the author, their hands have been on that book, you actually are picking up, if you
whoa,
a little bit of that essence, right?
We're all connected.
We are all connected. Yes.
That's why people want book smell bottled.
Yeah.
Be connected with everybody else.
Smells very good.
Scent of book, odor book.
Odor book, yeah. Odor
book.
That's good. I like it. Sophie, you had another one, and then we'll go to Anno as well.
Yeah.
But Sophie, go ahead.
Yeah, this is the one I picked as in to connect it to ABC. It's also quite new.
Yeah.
I don't know, 2019. And this is the big version, and we have the smaller version now everywhere, basically. And this is one of those books. So I hosted the Feminist Book Club in Hague for a long time, and that was we just started reading Emma Watson's feminist book. We started reading along with Emma Watson's Feminist Book Club, and then she kind of stopped, but we wanted to keep going. And so we started picking our own titles. So we did that for a little while until COVID hit. And one of the books we picked was Invisible Women. And it's one of those books that I think because I read it, and it really opened my eyes, because it's about, the subtitle is Exposing Data Bias in a World Designed for Men. So it's all about how, for example, one of the examples nowadays is the signs for a heart attack. Everybody's like, oh, your left arm, you fall. Yes, that's for men. And for women, it's completely different. But we don't know quite what yet, because all the tests have always been done on men, and often white men as well. The office temperature in an office building is generally too cold for women, because it was set to like the general body temperature of your average 40-year-old white male. So it's that women are saying, oh, it's cold here. It's not us being idiots. It's actually because it's too cold for a lot of women. So especially medicine also. So many medicines are tested on usually healthy men, and not on women, because we have all those hormones and it's so complicated, but then the medicines don't work for us. This book is full of all kinds of examples of that. The algorithms on Google, how they are skewed, and crash test dummies are there's only, I think since last year, you have female anatomical crash test dummies, so it's all kinds of things that you're like, oh, I never realized this. It's an example they gave, I think from India. There was a huge, I think a natural disaster in India. Lots of houses had been swept away. New houses need to be built quickly, but the people that were building them only got to speak to the elders that happened to be the men. So you got all these houses without a kitchen, because the men don't cook,
Wow.
So it's that kind of thing, bias that you don't realize until somebody points it out very clearly to you. So I got very vocal about this book. I thought, everybody needs to read this book. So I put a staff choice in it, and it was on the staff choice shelf, and it's on the website, and it's been selling so well. I mean, it is a good book, so it would have found its audience eventually, but I think it helps that when we get excited and vocal as booksellers about a book, we put it everywhere. We put the staff choice cards in there. It's in the on the desk. And then people really pick it up and think, oh my God, let's give it a try. And then they come back because they need to give it to all their colleagues. So it really it's kind of the power of how your enthusiasm
for sure
makes a book into a bestseller.
There's a couple of things I want to say. One is indeed the not knowing that you're being disadvantaged until someone points it out to you. Being white male, I'm not aware of it either. Being left-handed, I had the same experience, because when I went to a London shop called Everything Left-Handed in the 1980s, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, I picked up a ruler. And this ruler, I still have it, and it goes from that side to this side, and a normal ruler goes from this side to that side.
I love how you just have two rulers handy. I see a cat.
Yeah, it's one of those things when you go, what? And I think Lily Sophie's. It's one of those things.
I want to meet the cat.
What is she doing? Oh, there's a cat.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, sweet.
She said you'd pick it up.
Wanted the cat. You're getting the cat.
Yay. He's so big.
Beautiful.
Hey, babe.
He's like, I am not looking at the camera.
No.
But he is going like what?
I know. Oh, whatever.
Not putting it.
Now you're stuck with me.
Mom, you're so embarrassing.
Yes, I am. I'm a terrible cat mom. So sorry, Luke, to intrude.
No, I thought you were going to bring out something that was left-handed, but you brought a cat out.
No, a left-handed cat. Yes.
That's good. Yeah, I like that. But that's look at that.
Yeah,
I can't say
very happy.
I'll talk, but then no one's looking at me.
No, it's fine. I'm listening.
We're listening.
The other story I thought I'd heard also was the first woman in space. There was the spacesuits. There was an astronaut, a female astronaut, who didn't go into space because there wasn't a female spacesuit.
Yeah,
right.
Created a female spacesuit for her.
Yeah,
so she couldn't go.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Why don't you just make one up? But this sort of thing. It's just these taken for granted things, but they're made by men and they're thought by men because men are there. It's weird. But we are, I mean, thankfully, it seems to have exploded in the last couple of years, that the awareness for women.
It's changing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So can I ask about the book? Is it like a book of examples? Or is it like, does it have like action points, or what's the sort of the goal of the book?
A little bit of both. It's divided up into 6 areas, like daily life, workplace, design, medicine. So and then it'll give mostly examples of what happens, like of examples of oh, did you know that, by the way, there is no female crash test dummy, that kind of stuff. And then it does talk about how can you make it better, like for example the algorithms. I think it does say it can, examples of already how things are getting a little bit better, so that kind of if you follow that road, things can be a little bit more.
Yeah, because like a lot of these things seem extremely fixable. Like the crash test dummies, you can just make new crash test dummies. You can change an algorithm. Nothing is set in stone.
No, true, but you have to,
you have to be aware of it first.
You have to be aware of it first, and then it has to be kind of approved that it's going to be changing. So, I most people, because it's so logical, sensible to have a female crash test dummy, you finally see them coming around now. So it does give a few options and because it's also a few years old, so I don't know how it is now. I think it's already a lot getting better.
Yeah.
Well, there's room for a second book, really, to see how they're going. Yeah.
We'll follow up.
The follow-up book. Yeah. So we're chugging on in time, but I want another book from Anno. Anno.
Well, I'm kind of following the kind of more also like retelling stories from more of a female perspective, kind of that trope, by The Witch's Heart in a very fancy hardcover, which is basically the retelling, like it's Norse mythology, and then the retelling of Angerboda, the witch that was the giantess that was married in a sense to Loki, and the children that they had, and it's a great book. I've been reading a lot of different books because I've been really trying to find kind of my own genres and my own style and things that I would enjoy. And I enjoy so many different things for different reasons. But this was actually in, like, I would say the past year or two, the book that actually pulled me along the most, that wasn't a reread, and where I stayed up the entire evening just trying to finish it. And oh my God, and it gets you emotional, and there are betrayals, and then you think there can't be more betrayals, and there's more betrayals. And
the drama.
It is absolutely intense. It is wonderful. And also I right afterwards, because I was so intrigued in Norse mythology, I immediately read Norse mythology by
Neil Gaiman, our good friend Neil Gaiman.
The only thing is that, of course, and that is actually also great because it reconfirmed that the book was really well done and well researched and everything, like taking a lot from the prose and poetic Edda. And because a lot of the stories that Neil Gaiman put in the book that were actually retelling worthy and really like exciting to read, they were all worked into the book one way or another. But then, for example, from like a fun perspective, so for instance, where did after Loki turned himself into a horse and got pregnant from the stallion that he was trying to distract, where did he go in those months and months, and that time that nobody saw him, until he returned with oh, I forgot his child's name, but with that horse with 8 legs, and just presented it as a gift to Odin. Where did he go in that time? And that is just kind of like lovely interwoven in this story. And sometimes in the beginning, it just makes you laugh at some of the interactions that are in there. And then in the end, you're only sad.
Yeah, just crying.
Yeah.
That reminds me of being so affected with books. I read The Road by Cormac McCarthy, and oh my God, that is just rips your heart out. And I finished it. That was the dumbest thing I've ever done. One of the dumber things I've done in my ABC career is I finished it during my lunch break.
Oh,
no.
And I was just, I should have just gone home.
No!
People were like, "Can I buy a book?" No, why do you want to buy a book? The Road, and they're just, it was morose. I had this rain cloud over me.
Oh, no.
I tried to stay behind, out of sight as much as I could. Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
I need some time to process.
Yeah. Oh yes, Lordy. Wow. Yeah.
the pros and cons of reading books at work, indeed.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
You
my
don't see it
God.
coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Love it.
I'm just going to share the screen so I can show the book, actually, because you were so enthusiastic about it. There you go.
Yes.
Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek.
Kornichek.
Hey, that wasn't so difficult. Gornichek.
Just say it with confidence,
That
Luke.
iris is the
Gornichek.
other iris.
Gornichek. It's not. No, I can't do it.
Yeah.
There you go. Staff choice also by Iris M.
Iris
Yeah,
W.
not me.
Not you. The other Iris. Not Iris the original.
That's Iris W.
And she's totally into that. And I think that Natalia was talking about it as well. Somebody else, or maybe Ziggy was talking about it. But Ziggy was talking about it. But yeah,
But you have the pretty,
Yeah, the blue and
blue and orange.
bronze.
that one's
It
the
is
Very nice.
Iris's aesthetic.
beautiful. And it also, to me, is always very important that if you take the cover off,
yeah.
that it also looks fantastic, and it's blue and has just beautiful like bronze golden lettering,
Oh, yeah.
and it's fantastic. Yeah, I always say it's very important how a book looks like naked. So
The naked. Yes. The inside, the second press, really, when you unwrap it. Yeah, it's great. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're
Wow.
kind of almost out of. Are you taking a piece out of me?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm doing the picture. I'm doing the version of a cat.
Okay.
Does anyone want to have any last book review that they want to give?
Oh,
No.
tempt us. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. How long do you want to be here, Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 3 hours.
I have another 8 books here, So.
Oh, that's true, actually. Okay, well, I suppose we have to call it a day. We'll just have a look at what we're going to talk. Yes, well, it's the ABC 50th anniversary. You heard it here first, or maybe not.
Well,
But
you definitely heard it here.
it did, yes, and it's going to be not the 15th, but the 16th of April, Saturday the 16th of April, in all stores, in the Amsterdam shop, and in the Den Haag shop, and in the LEIDSCHENDAM shop, and ABC. What?
Yeah, that's actually just a kickoff. We're going to be celebrating all year long.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Very
Watch this space. Watch the abc.nl space. Let me just get the ABC website up again, and I'll show people where they can find all the information, because that's kind of also handy. There we go. So this is the abc.nl. I think that's the greatest website name ever.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
Find all events under events page. There you go. And that's our things. That's us now. Oh yeah, I mean, actually this month there's Dutch Comic-Con happening tomorrow. Yeah, the weekend.
Yes.
So if you're into all things comic like and fantasy and stuff like that, then you'll find us in Utrecht. And we got the book signing that's next week's Friday with Kaffa Fosselt. That's sewing and stuff like that. He's coming into the shop with his partner. And actually next Friday is also the open mic, which I do, and that's online. Ooh la la! And you can join us there. If you click through, you got the old meetup, the old Zoom connection there. You can join. You can do your poems or your song or whatever. And on Saturday we've got a book launch of Frontiert, who was a dear colleague of ours who was also helas passed on, but he wrote a book. And we don't do that very often. This is a very special thing because it's in Dutch, and we obviously are the American Book Center. But we're doing this as an honor to Cheert, we're doing a book launch of his book, so that's kind of nice. And then the end of the month, we've got the book chats and Elfia, which is kind of like DCC, but also cool. I think you can dress up, can't you, at Elfia?
You sure can.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And then next month, the staff picks again.
Wow.
And on this page, this is where the various birthday events will also be highlighted.
Yeah.
Exactly. During the year, check out the events. So let's go back to that. Let's call it a day. Thank you very much for joining and sharing your stories and your books and stuff like that. And I'm gonna press that. Where's that button? Yeah, stop the live stream button. So